Welcome to Topographic Survey Workflows Part 4. In this installment, we're going to cover points on a grid. The Points on a Grid tool can be accessed by going up to Tools and selecting Points on a Grid. Once you do this, the Points on a Grid box will appear as shown with a grid in the background. Typically, the first step I like to do is square my grid up and make it parallel with whatever it is that I'm trying to do. To do that, I can quickly go up top and select multi-pick mode and just select 2 points along my roadway in this case. Then, if I come over to this box, it says Set Origin and the X, which is 2 pick points. As you can see, it quickly rotates the grid to be parallel with my roadway. Now, I need to change my grid size. So in this case, I'm going to do a 5-foot grid on my roadway. After selecting the 5-foot grid, I need to click the Update Grid box, and as you can see, the grid updates as well. Now for points on a grid. In this case, with any hardscape surface, whether it's pavement, concrete, bare earth, you're going to choose ground point. In this search radius is basically how far away from each intersection the software is going to look at the points. But with ground point, what it does is it takes an average of all those elevations and puts that on that intersection. So in this case for ground point, you always want a very small ground search radius. In my case, since I know this is pretty flat, I'm just going to use 1/10 of a foot. Then for starting point number, I'm going to say 5,000. And for code, I'm going to say P for pavement in this case. Now all I need to do is quickly draw a fence around the area that I want. So I'm just going to go basically from face of curb to face of curb. And now I can either say preview or place points. In this case, I'm just going to choose place points. As you can see, it found 242 points. Click OK. I can select close, and when I zoom in, you can see the software found all of my points. The nice thing about this tool is you do not have to clean your data. As you can see, I had cars in the roadway and it ignored them. It still put points underneath those cars. So there's no reason to clean that data out. Now, what if we wanted to create points in this grassy area over here? You can do that, but the grass needs to be somewhat maintained. And in this case, it was. So again, I'll bring up my points on a grid toolbar. Everything else stays the same. Except for in this case, instead of ground point, I want to choose lowest point. This will go through and search for any low points that are within the grid intersections. But in this case, it actually puts whatever point it finds, that's where it's putting the cross or the vertex. So if I'm going to do a 5-foot grid, in this case, usually I'm going to put a 2.5-foot search radius. It held my starting point number. And in this case, I'm going to say G for ground. Again, just going to draw my fence around my grass area. And now I can hit place points. 189 points found. OK and close. And as you can see, you really can't see any of the points right now. But when I start to zoom in, you'll see that the points are there. The reason you couldn't see them is because they're beneath the surface of the actual tops of the grass. The one thing to note here is you'll notice as well that these points aren't on an exact 5-foot grid, and that's because it finds the lowest point and that's where it puts the vertex.